Today, we're going to break down one of the most important emergency skills anyone can learn, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR. And it's no exaggeration to say that this technique can literally be the bridge between life and death.
But to really get why it's so powerful, we have to start with a pretty tough question. In that critical moment, when a heart just stops, what is actually going on inside the body?
Well, a clock starts ticking, and it's ticking fast, because after just 3 minutes without blood getting to the brain, we start to see irreversible damage. That's it. That's the window we're working with before a crisis turns into a tragedy. So let's zoom in on that initial moment, that sudden stop. The medical emergency that kicks this whole thing off is called cardiac arrest. Now, it is so important to get this right. Cardiac arrest is not a heart attack. A heart attack is a plumbing problem, a blockage. Cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. The heart's wiring goes haywire and it just stops beating. The official definition is a sudden loss of heart function, breathing, and consciousness. And the consequence of that is immediate and devastating. The body's main pump has just failed. So that vital flow of oxygen-rich blood to the brain, to the organs, to everything, it just slams to a halt. And that 3-minute clock we just mentioned, it's officially started.
But this, right here, is where an ordinary person can change everything. This is where CPR comes in, acting as a temporary but absolutely crucial artificial lifeline.
Okay, so let's clear up a huge misconception. The point of CPR isn't really to restart the heart, not like you see in the movies. The real purpose is to manually take over the job of the heart, to keep that oxygenated blood moving, buying precious, life-saving time until professional help arrives.
The name itself actually tells you the whole story. Cardio is for the heart, and pulmonary is for the lungs. You're literally performing a rescue mission for both of the body's most critical systems.
You know, our source material has this quote that I think just nails it. Think about it this way. With chest compressions, you are being the heart. And with rescue breaths, you are being the lungs. You are literally stepping in to do the body's most essential work.
Okay, so we get the why. Now, how is it actually done? Let's walk through the modern blueprint for CPR. It's called the CAB sequence.
And this is a really big deal. For years, the approach was ABC, airway, breathing, compressions. But the science evolved. Research showed that the single most important thing is to get blood circulating again immediately. So the whole protocol was flipped to CAB, putting those all-important compressions first.
So let's look at that sequence. It all starts with C for compressions. That's you manually pumping the heart. Then it's A for airway, making sure the path is clear for oxygen. And finally, B for breathing, providing rescue breaths. CAB, compressions, airway, breathing.
But look, just pushing on the chest isn't quite enough. They have to be high-quality compressions. And our source gives us 4 golden rules. First, the rate. You gotta push fast, about 100 to 120 times a minute. Just think of the beat of the song Staying Alive. Seriously. Second, depth. For an adult, you need to push down at least 5 centimeters. Third, recoil. You have to let the chest come all the way back up after every single push. And last, and this is huge, minimize interruptions. Every second you stop, that blood flow stops too.
So you're on the scene, you're doing CPR. Where does your action fit into the bigger picture? Well, you've just become the first and arguably the most important link in what's known as the chain of survival.
See, what you're doing is called basic life support, or BLS. It's basic because you don't need any special equipment to do it. The paramedics who arrive next, they're bringing advanced life support, or ALS, all the gear, like defibrillators. But here's the thing, you are the bridge that gets the patient from BLS to ALS. And speaking of those defibrillators, what's their job? Well, they deliver a controlled electrical shock. The goal is basically to hit a reset button on the heart's chaotic electrical signals, trying to stop the chaos so the heart's natural rhythm has a chance to take over again.
So when you put this all together, what does it actually accomplish? Let's talk about the real-world impact of just deciding to act.
We have to come back to that timeline because it is everything. Once the heart stops, CPR has to start within 4 minutes to have the best chance. And after that, a defibrillator needs to be used within 10 minutes.
And if both of those things happen in that window, the result is staggering. According to our source material, the person's chance of survival jumps to 40%. Think about that, from basically 0 to a 40% chance. That is incredible.
And this, right here, might be the most important takeaway of all. CPR is not a magic bullet. It does not guarantee survival.
What it does is it transforms a hopeless situation into one with a real fighting chance. It creates a possibility for survival that just a moment before simply did not exist.
So in the end, the question isn't really about technique or science. It becomes a personal one. Knowing that you have the power to create that chance, to be that bridge between life and death for someone, what would you do?